So for this case study, we are exploring the mouth pillar because that is what came up for this particular individual. So this is a 46-year-old female who came to us with a lot of fatigue, generally just feeling sick all the time, a lot of headaches, a lot of digestion issues, and a lot of anxiety. So this is what your report is going to look like. Everyone is going to have this executive summary. This is just reminding you that we're running over 1,100 different biometric data points through this blueprint in order to grab all of this great information. And what we're looking at is both emotional and physical factors. Then you're going to see a summary of results. And what we have highlighted here are all of the areas that will change depending on the results of your report.
So this might look different for your specific report. These are the pieces that may or may not look different on your specific report.
Yep.
So as you can see, it's broken down. The first bullet is the first pillar that is needing the most support. So that's what it's going to list out, is which pillar is needing the most support. This will be verified on page 3 as we move down. Then the correlation to the ovaries, right? So we're going to be showing what organ also is going to be the most impactful within that pillar, and that if we need to also support that. There's a lot of connections between mouth and the reproductive system, as we're going to pretty much warm up into. The nervous system does not, in this report, doesn't even shock us one bit, because the mouth is full of nerves going to every organ and every system in the body. Yep. So there's a huge connection to that. And as you can see on the second bullet, it gives you the first system and a second system. There's a total of 10 systems that we look at, that you'll see as we move down this report, but it's only listing the top 2 that need the most support.
Because we want to give you an easy place to start. We don't want you to have to start correcting everything at once, because that's not feasible for the body. We want to hyper focus it on the areas that if we support these areas, you're going to make the greatest positive impact overall.
And then it's going to tell you if it has an emotional influence, a physical, and it can be one or the other, or even both.
Yep.
The last thing that you'll see is on number 4 on this bullet for summary results is the pH environment. That will always be the same. Now, some of you might have the pH environment twice. You might have it as a system and as the number 4 position. If you do, that just means for us and for you that that needs to be paid attention to even more so if it came up twice on this first page right here.
And because we don't, unless it comes up as one of this bullet point 2 or point 3, unless it comes up on one of those, we don't give a bunch of specifics about it. So if it comes up as only number 4 for you, and you go to your all resources, we actually have things like an alkaline acid food chart that can get you started on addressing your pH right away.
Yeah, so we just thought that that was very important. So we wanted that to be part of the results on the summary, no matter what position it's in.
So then on page 2, we have a key for how to read the report. You'll notice that there are percentages all over the report that go from 0 to 100. 50% or better is passing. So we're not really looking at anything unless it's below 50%.
The only other reason why you'd want to look at something higher than 50% is if it's your pillar focus, and you'll see that in red as we move to the next page, or if it's one of your systems. Because even if it's higher than 50, great, that means the rest of your body is doing really good, but this just happens to be needing the most support right now. So this is a dynamic report, meaning if you test now and if you test in a month from now, it's going to be different, right? Because you've changed, you've either done or haven't done different things that are going to move you into a more healthy spot or not healthy spot.
Yeah. And then we're also measuring 4 different emotional factors and 4 different physical factors. This is just so we can take multiple layers of measurement of how your body is being influenced by either your emotions or your physicality. So on the emotional side, it's not just your emotional response to things, it's also your intellectual responses, like your thoughts. It's also your behaviors, which means your habits. It's also your spiritual strength. So your connection to something greater, all of those things play a role into eventually changing the physical body.
And the other reason why we listed it here is so that if emotional influence does come up for you on one of the organs or one of the systems, then what you'll have is you'll have a way to kind of check in with yourself. Is it on an intellectual level? Is it on an emotional level? Is it on a behavioral level? Is it on a spiritual level? So you'll have all these different ways of determining what's kind of going on and maybe where for you.
Yeah. And then we also list if something is acute or chronic. It's much more common for things to be chronic because the body is always shifting, and the longer we're on this planet, the more long-term things become. Something that's acute means it's probably more recent, and it might be associated with a little bit more inflammation. And that's usually something that can shift really easily if you just kind of address it more immediately. So then we're going to get into the 5 pillars of health. The reason that we're measuring these 5 different pillars, which are oxygenation, hydration, mouth, nutrition, and emotions, is because any one of these things can affect every single aspect of the body to some degree. So in this example, again, remember, we're looking at things that are below 50%. And so on your pillars, you should have in red highlighted whichever pillar needs the most support for you. In this example, her area that needs the most support is her mouth, and it's affecting her ovaries.
So one of the best ways, right? So if you were looking at a report and let's just say yours came up as nutrition as your biggest concern, then there's going to be some way to improve the step right here that is at the bottom of this page. Here it says mouth, but your pillar will show that it's going to be improving either nutrition, emotions, hydration, or oxygenation.
So those are your first immediate action steps that you should take right away to make the biggest impact to your health right now.
Yeah, so let's just say it said mouth and kidneys. Then if you wanted to improve your kidneys, you would still follow the steps that are saying here to improve your mouth health, because like we want to show you that every tooth is connected to every organ and system in your body. Everything.
Yep.
The mouth is an unbelievable connection. The reason why we have the mouth here is not because it's a great hint to your health. It's not going to be the be all end all, but it is going to be a great hint to figuring out how to support your mouth. And then if you support the mouth, then you're going to support that organ that's most contributing into that area.
Because so often people think, oh, well, if there's something out of balance in the organ, it has to be the organ itself that has a problem. But a lot of times the body refers pain in really unique ways, or it refers function in really unique ways because areas tend to compensate for each other. So in this example, her ovaries are actually being impacted by her mouth, which means that we can help her hormones, we can help her ovarian function, all those things just by addressing her mouth health.
And what people don't also know is that over 42% of adults that are 30 and over are dealing with some sort of periodontal disorder or periodontitis.
Yeah.
So that's going to be inflammation of the gums. So that inflammation is going to carry on to the rest of the body. So it's going to be huge for that. And here you have mouth actually coming up twice. You have it as a pillar, but you also have it in oxygenation. So you might notice on your report that an organ might come up in multiple pillars.
Yep.
If it comes up in multiple pillars, that's another reason why you want to focus on that, not just that pillar, but maybe other pillars.
Other pillars too, to support it in layers.
And what that could be is, right, hydration is going to be drinking warm to hot water. Nutrition is going to be eating more greens, steaming your vegetables.
Oxygenation is going to be more deep breathing, making sure you're breathing from your diaphragm, not from your chest.
And hydration could be not just drinking more water, but not drinking other things. Coke, sodas, coffee, liquor, right? All these things
can dehydrate you.
Can not only dehydrate you, but then create a cascading effect across the body.
Yeah. So again, immediate action steps right underneath your pillar is a really easy place to start.
And just real quick, tongue scraping. Okay, people don't realize how much bacteria is on your tongue. And if we don't scrape the bacteria that we don't need pretty consistently, I would say, once every other day, at least something, because that bacteria can really kind of create biofilm, and that biofilm can then degrade your teeth, your gums, and then it can get infected. If that, if that tooth gets infected, that bad bacteria seeps into your bloodstream, and that's what creates a whole plethora of different things. So again, oral health is like so important. Another thing you can do is also get different essential oils like frankincense,
myrrh, galbanum,
and I believe it even says you can do oil pulling, but you can also take frankincense or myrrh and put it on your floss and then floss with that underneath, because that's going to really help. You don't want to just put it on the gums, but really get underneath, because I can't tell you how many patients we've seen that once they start cleaning up their mouth health, their organs get better, their skin gets better, their mental state gets better. I mean, think about it. When you start taking in toxins, the first place it's going to go are your sinuses. Well, that sinus is going to drain through your teeth and mouth. So you wonder where you get it from. It's not just the food, it's just everywhere.
And the teeth aren't as solid as we might think. They're actually pretty porous. So a lot of times if there's bacteria and imbalances in the mouth, it can actually go through the pores of the teeth and get down into the gum line. And that drains directly into your lymph nodes that are right underneath your jawline. And those lymph nodes then carry that lymph into your lymph fluid and can drain into all other parts of the body, because lymph is everywhere. It runs parallel to all of your blood. So once it's in the lymph system, it can travel to anywhere else in the body.
And here's another crazy thing. When I was researching, there's medications that will decrease the flow of saliva.
Yeah.
Now, you might think, well, that's no big deal. Like, that's a side effect of a drug, and they blow over, right? Because it's not as crazy as when they blow over, like, this may cause cancer. This may cause, heart attack. This might cause stroke. But even the simple thing of decreasing saliva can create such havoc in your oral health that then can have a cascading effect through the rest of your organs. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and for the tongue scraping, you can either get a tongue scraper, which is its own individual tool, or now you can a lot of times find toothbrushes that have a little tongue scraper on the back of the toothbrush. So it's more like a 2-in-1 tool if you're looking to go that route.
Yeah. So just some things to think about when it comes to the mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then on your report, you're also going to see on this next page, page 4, what's called Masters of Function Top Priorities. These are the 2 systems that are needing the most support. In this example, it's her central nervous system, which is actually being more influenced by her emotional state than her physical state. So it's the emotional state that's under 50% versus the physical state that's above 50%. And her emotional state is affecting her cerebellum, her temporal lobe, which is in charge of a whole bunch of cognitive functions and decision-making and all kinds of things, and her sympathetic nervous system.
And your sympathetic nervous system is going to be your fight or flight, right? So ironically, she just came back. This person just had come back from a trip from Australia.
And so she had been living out in very remote conditions
very remote.
For well over a month.
2 months.
2 months. Yep. So her nervous system was fried. And so it was taking time for her to kind of readjust back to normal day-to-day life in order to reset her nervous system. So that clearly showed up on her report.
And a great way to reset the nervous system is go hug a tree. Go put your feet in earth, on grass.
Journal it out.
But that is a great way to quickly kind of ground your nervous system. And then again, even so, you have this resource. So the main systems that are being produced on this page for your report, because your report might have some different system on it, you'll have a resource attached to it. So if you, for example, right, if you had some kind of heart thing and you wanted to really help and support your heart, and let's just say heart came up for the nervous system and you clicked on this resource, just know that resource is going to be improving the nervous system, which will inevitably improve your heart. So whatever major organs that are showing up here are going to be helped by this resource that's ultimately really going to be helping your nervous system, which is going to be helping those three major organs that are contributing to that.
So even if it doesn't look like it's a direct one-to-one correlation of, oh, this organ came up, that's what I want to help. If I click on the learning resource, it doesn't take me to heart, it takes me to circulation. Well, you need to support your circulation in order to help your heart. So we've handpicked these resources to make sure that they're supporting the things that you need to tackle the most.
So here for this person, the immune system came up, right? And this was going to be more on a physical level than the emotional. Again, you have a learning resource. This learning resource will go to something about the immune system. And if you follow those steps on that learning resource, it's going to help the liver, the mouth, and the thymus. Yeah. Now, again, the mouth is coming up again. So it's just really interesting how many different times and ways that the mouth is coming up, right? It came up twice on the pillar, right? One for the actual pillar, one for the oxygenation, and now for the immune system. So the mouth is really needing support. And then here's the last crazy part. So we also thought that it'd be great not to just say, hey, this is the system to focus on, but what organ is having the most impact across multiple systems?
So this would mean if all you did was address this one impactful factor, it would help all these different areas of the body. And again, for this individual, mouth came up. So if all she does is address her mouth, she's also going to be helping her respiratory system, her lymphatic system, and her immune system all at the same time.
Yeah.
And she can just click this learning resource down here to get started on addressing this in either a direct or indirect way. So for example, this resource may actually go to lymphatic or immune for her because immune came up here as well. And so that would be the best option for her to tackle both of these areas at the same time in the mouth and the immune is to start with an immune resource.
So just those last 2 pages, right? So you have this, you have 3 resources here. You have one for each system, your top 2 systems, right? So that's 2 there. Then you have one on the most impactful factor, that's 3. And then you have a 2-step process resource on the pillar page. So those things, if you just focus only on those things, you'll see a major difference. And we've seen them happen over and over again.
Yeah, just work your way through those resources.
We've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now. And that's why we've created those resources, because we know that these are the most simple at-home tools to make the most impact.
Yes. So then the next page is just for all you little nerdy nerds out there like ourselves that just want more information. And this is just fun to have, especially if you're doing more than one report, because you can sit them side by side and see how each of your systems are shifting. And we like that.
Yeah, so you can kind of geek out, and if you do more than one report or multiple reports throughout the year, then you can take a look at this and see how things maneuver throughout that time, right? So if you're doing maybe a specialized therapy, if you're doing Avicen or light therapy, or IV treatments,
or frequencies,
then you can do that. So here are all the different systems, right? Like we said, right? There's 2 of the most prominent ones, and then here it listed from greatest to least, right? So imagine
greatest being the one that would have come up next.
Yeah.
If we had more than 2 on the main priorities page.
Yeah, so this would be first place, second place, and that doesn't mean good. That means that
those are the ones
that support
in that order.
So then this would be third place, fourth, and it goes left to right going down.
Yeah.
So the most, I guess the greatest system that has the best health is going to be this bottom right one.
That's the one we're least concerned about at the moment.
Yeah.
That's the one that needs the least amount of balancing right now. It's going strong. So then on the last page, we wanted to break everything down even further if you're curious about a particular organ or a particular system. And so what you'll see here is the system listed. And then if it's acute or chronic, its percentage, remember 50% or better is awesome. It's passing, it's wonderful. And then it'll just say if that area is being more influenced on a physical level, on an emotional level, or both.
And then the other thing you might also see is the word significant or strong. If you see significant, in my opinion, even if, let's just say, small intestine shows 51%, but there's a significant emotional, that means, because this here is going to be different, right? So the percentages that you've seen up until this point are a physical and emotional percentage, right? That's what you saw the last 2 pages.
Yep.
Here, this is an overall health. This is taking the average of both physical and emotional together. So if it says significant emotional, that means it's very
It's
far
much
down.
more emotional than it is physical.
Meaning for it to get to 51%, that means you probably have an emotional score of like 40%.
Yeah.
Or even lower.
Yeah.
And then you have, the physical side being maybe, 60%, which gives you that 51, right? Whatever meets in the middle. So when it's significant, that is something to also very much pay attention to, or if it says strong.
Yeah.
And again, you have a list of full resources right here at the very bottom that you can go to at any point that we're going to keep adding stuff to be able to kind of tackle organs and systems.
And all you have to do is click on the green here text, and it'll take you to a spreadsheet that is that complete list of resources. We've got, I think, over 30 episodes of different videos that work through different things. We've got PDFs that you can download. And it covers everything from nutritional exercises you can do to track your own food. It's got an acid alkaline food chart. It's got a recipe for castor oil packs, which is really great for any sort of body pain or muscle pain or aches or anything like that. We've got now the mouth resources on there, so you can see which areas of the mouth connect to different organs. And we're going to go over that a little bit further after we complete this case study today. And just really a wealth of resources that we're always expanding on and adding to.
Yeah.
It's also got emotional tools in there. There's actually 3 different videos that deal with stress and emotions. Episode 14 is a stress episode. Episode 24 is about strong mind, strong body. So how your mental thoughts impact your physical being. And then there's episode 25, which is emotion tools, things that you can do at home to improve your own emotional state, no matter what organ comes up for emotion.
And that's going to be a huge, again, stress and emotional stress is going to play a major impact on your oral health. Yeah, major impact.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for joining us for this case study. And now we're going to hop into the open-ended portion of the call.